Welcome to Balancing Act, the show where we explore the strategies, challenges, and breakthroughs that help business owners build profitable, resilient companies. I'm Linda Hamilton, CPA, exit planning coach, and systemologist. Today's episode touches on the heart of what resilience really means. My guest, Jose Pereira, I'm sure I messed up his name and he'll correct it, endured 5 years in captivity, years that would have broken most people. Instead, they became the foundation for a mission of compassion. And out of that darkness came the light of his nonprofit, Angels Helping in Earth, now helping immigrants and trauma survivors rebuild their lives with dignity, resilience, and hope. Jose doesn't just lead through his nonprofit, he also coaches leaders and business owners, helping them find purpose, clarity, and strength in their own journeys. Jose, thank you for being here and trusting us with your story. You've said that during captivity, you had a vision, a dream that someday you could create something to help others. Can you take us back through that time and what your belief that life could still hold purpose?
Well, thank you for having me here, Linda. Thank you. This is really a wonderful opportunity for me. And before beginning, let me introduce a little bit my story because, of course, your audience will know who is this guy. Well, as you mentioned, I was a guy that was in the corporate world. I was in the oil and gas. And in 2017, during a business trip that I was going to Caracas, Venezuela, the company that I work is Citgo Petroleum. The headquarters is based in the Venezuelan oil and gas company PDVSA. So I was going to make a presentation, and were caught in the middle of the geopolitical tension that was going at that moment. It's funny, it's the same thing that is happening today. So we were caught in that, and we became hostages. They took us hostages. I was flying to Caracas with my 5 vice president. I was the CEO of that company that time, and we became hostages. So during those 5 years of hostage, one day, answering your question, one day I believe was like in my 3rd or my 4th year of captivity. I was in my cell and my prison cell, and I remember that by that time we were making daily prayers. We were praying before going to bed. We did like 3-hour prayers and reading of the Bible. We were very focused in our taking care of our soul, our spirit, because we didn't know when we were going to be released. And that gave us a lot of faith and hope, and we were really like in peace. Even we were in that dark moment, we were like in peace. I remember that night I went to sleep like 11 p.m. in the night, and in the middle of the night, I cannot say at what time it was very early to the morning, 5-6 a.m. I had a real vivid dream, but a vivid dream. Today I know that it was not a dream, it was really like a revelation. So during that dream, I saw somebody showing me like the future, and saying that I'm gonna go out, and when I decided to go out, I will begin to speak about my story, that I will write a book, that I will begin to train people, and I will begin to tell my story in interviews and do interviews. And today I'm a host in this channel. But one of the biggest challenges in that dream, that it showed me that I was going to create a nonprofit. I never had idea why that dream came to me, but in that dream, it was told that the nonprofit name was going to be Angels Helping in Earth, because I'm Jose Angel. So my second name is Angel. So the name was going to be Angels Helping in Earth. And when I woke up, to tell you the truth, I am like a guy that never dreams. I never dream. And when I woke up, I was so touched by the dream because it was so vivid that I took a pen and a paper. By that time, I was writing letters to my wife. I was writing secret letters to my wife. That, by the way, those letters became to be what today is my book. But I wrote down that everything I saw, and And I remember so clearly everything that I created like an org chart, because I walked through I saw everything. And the time passed, and I said I could send that letter to my wife. My wife tells me that when she received that letter that day, she saw that I was going crazy, because she didn't think, why this guy's doing the thing, having those dreams. So she really thought that I was going crazy. And she, but at that moment, Linda, I didn't know. I didn't have no idea. I simply saw that was a message, and I sent a letter. I came back like 2 years after. It passed 2 years. 2 years. So the day we were released, because we came back through a prisoner swap in October 1st, 2022. So we landed here in a military base here in San Antonio, Texas. When I landed in that military base, when I saw my wife, I remember that I had that thing here. So when I came to my house, my wife showed me that she kept the letter. And when I saw the letter, I didn't know exactly what that meant to me. So I began to go to attend to my church, that today I'm part of my church. And when I begin to go more and go more deep in my church, I really saw that this was a revelation that God put me, that I needed to create that. And that's where I decided to begin to do what today I do. So I became a speaker, I became a coach, I begin to do a podcast. Today am a hosting this channel. But not only that, I begin to work hard to the creation of the nonprofit. So there's where the idea of the nonprofit comes. So we can talk more about how
A lot
yeah.
about that. Let me ask you, just to step back for a moment. I think it's amazing that you were able to get letters out to your wife, but we've all heard stories about Venezuelan prisons and, and being in captivity, and how you have come out of that with a purpose, with changing and helping others. But how did faith or spirituality guide you through those unimaginable circumstances?
Well, to your audience, I'm going to say something here that I'm not shy to say it, because I was not a man of God. By the way, I was so focused in my previous life, in my corporate career. I thought that I was a very successful guy, because I was the CEO of an oil and gas company here in the U.S., the sixth biggest refinery here in the U.S. Being an immigrant, I became the CEO. So for me, it was a big deal. So I was so focused in my success of my career that I was not taking care of something that was the most important, that taking care of my family and taking care of God. So when I went through that situation, I encountered God. As I said, the first year of our captivity, we were reunited, the six, because we were six guys, but the first year we were in solitary confinement. So after 1 year, we were put together, and there's where we begin to, that the six of us decided to kind of create a survival plan. And part of that survival plan was taking care of our spirituality. So we begin to go deep in the Bible, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and to pray. And that is when we begin to rediscover our relation with God. When I came back, is that I really got connected, because now I belong to my church. I do church service. I have my own I'm part of a ministry in my church, and I'm starting my nonprofit because of that. Because I believe this is something that today I truly believe that I can help, because it's taken care of in the Hispanic community.
Yes. Many survivors of trauma like that carry, invisible scars. How did you begin your own process of recovery once you returned home?
Well, I'm gonna say there has been a process. I'm gonna be honest. I still have a therapist that I see every Thursday. I have 3 years with her. But my process, my healing process, that the thing I decided to face this is I became one of the most visible voices in the hostage community here in the U.S. So today I'm very connected to all the hostage foundations that work to support hostage families here in the U.S. Because I'm going to tell you something to your audience. People doesn't know, but there's a lot of American hostages here in many, many countries all over the world. Families going through this ordeal. It became very visible with the situation in Gaza with Israel. But there are many Americans that are kept in other countries, and Venezuela is not an exception. There are people in Cuba, in Venezuela, in Russia, in Asia, in China, in North Korea, all over the place. So I'm today very connected to these foundations, and I help them. I put my image to help them. As I was telling you off today, one of the promo of the campaign for the Giving Tuesday of Hostage US is a photo of me with my grandson the day I was released here in the US. So I'm very connected to that community, and that's been part of my healing process.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I think it's very important, and it's enabling you to do the great work you're doing. When we come back, we're going to talk more about how you transformed your vision for Angels Helping in Earth and how the organization is now transforming lives every day. So I hope our audience will stay with us. We're going to have a lot more for you. Thank you, Jose, for sharing your story. I think it brings new meaning to resilience. Stay with us. We'll be right back. If you love what you're watching, catch Balancing Acts and every Now Media TV show live or on demand anytime on nowmedia.tv. You can download the Now Media TV app on Roku or Apple for instant access to our bilingual content in English and in Spanish. From business and news to lifestyle and culture, it's all streaming 24/7. Search Now Media TV on Roku or your favorite podcast and never miss a moment. Welcome back to Balancing Acts. I'm here with Jose Herrera, founder of Angels Helping in Earth. In our first segment, Jose shared the remarkable story of how a dream born in captivity became a source of hope. Now we're going to explore how he turned that dream into a real organization, one that not only empowers trauma survivors and immigrants, but also inspires business owners and community leaders through his coaching and mentorship. Jose, once you were free, where did you begin? What was the first step in bringing Angels Helping in Earth to life?
Well, as I mentioned, this has been a process because the first year that I came back, I took care of my recovery, my trauma recovery. The first 6 months of my experience, I went to a big trauma center in North Carolina called Wake Medical Center. The big thing there is that I became very, very good friend of the director of that center, and he became the prologuist of my book. And by the way, I have him as a guest in my podcast. So we are very good friends today. But he took care of all my trauma recovery. I have a trauma specialist that have been working with me since day one, every week, Daisy. Daisy's gonna join my foundation as one of the trauma recovery specialists right now. So I have been kind of connecting the dot. So it was not. This has been an evolving process. To your audience, I already have 3 years that I came back. So my first year, I took care of two things: of my trauma recovery and writing my book, because I truly believe that if I wanted to do something, I wanted that the people know that who I am. Because one of the things that happened with our story, everybody knew about our case as the Citgo 6. Everybody heard about the story of the Citgo 6. But the Citgo 6 didn't have faces. I'm a Citgo 6, but nobody knew who I was. So I needed to know how to put my visibility out. So when I decided to create a nonprofit, the people say, oh, I know who is this guy. So there was the first steps of the foundation. In the second year, I began to consolidate my speaking career and my coaching program to begin to integrate with people, make the connection. As I said, I began to work with these foundations that help on the hostage community. There are several here in the U.S. I can name several of them: the James Foley Legacy Foundation, Hostage U.S., Hostage Worldwide, the Richardson Center, the Bring Our Family Home campaign. With all of them, I'm connected. So when I begin to create that network is when I decided to do that next step, that was creating the nonprofit. I had a blessing through this connection that I connected with a pastor. He's a retired pastor, but more than 40 years. He has a company called the Kingdom Fundraiser. His name is Pastor Willie Peterson, and he has been working with me in the foundation, in the constitution, on all the process, the putting the dream together. So today, we are, once we decided to build everything around, so what is the nonprofit main goals? Because the vision is to support trauma recovery victims, basically in the Hispanic community. And let me tell you, I began this idea 2 years ago, 3 years ago, not in this term. There are all these issues with immigration. This was, even I never thought all the things that are happening today, but I had a vision that we needed to support people that come to this country with a lot of trauma, because normally when the people immigrate to this country is because they come because they're having issues in their countries when they come traumatized. So they come here and nobody never takes care of them, and the trauma is still there. So it becomes a generational trauma. Nobody's taking care of them. And now with all this issue with immigration, of course, is even worse. So it's not only taking care of them from the trauma recovery, also giving some techniques how they can integrate better to the American society. You know, that because if you, something that is for me is very clear, if you are going to be living in a country that it became your country, you have to embrace the culture of the country. You have to be part of this wonderful country. So you have to integrate as a citizen to this society. And this is part of the thing that...
You know what I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned in our last episode you serve the trauma victims, right? But you also mentioned their families, and that, you know, they're hostages all over the world. When they first come to you, what do they most need when they first come to you for trauma? Whether it's them, the victim, or maybe they're still a hostage and their family is coming to you for help.
Well, let me tell you, this is a very good question, Linda. Thank you for emphasizing that. And yes, you're totally right, because the victim has trauma. I'm not going to say it's traumatized, but the biggest trauma is not the victim, it's the family. It's incredible how nobody takes care of the family of a victim of a trauma. And this is something that can happen to any situation in life that you have been suffering trauma. All the people that are surrounding you is like a bomb. For example, I'm going to put a very simple example. You discovered that some of your family has cancer, and now he's have a terminal cancer. All the family is suffering. So can you imagine a family that has a loved one that is in captivity during years? Because one of the things that people are not aware, that the average years of somebody in captivity is statistically true, 5 years. So when you are taking care, when you're taken as a captive, normally it takes average 5 years to come back. And I know people that have stayed 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. Imagine the suffering of the family. Imagine the trauma, how you can recover your life back. So this is something that's so important to take care.
Such a complex situation when I think about, it could be income the family doesn't have, constant worry about how their loved one is. And I would imagine the hostage, while they're worrying about their own survival, is also worrying about their family. I actually can't imagine that kind of uncertainty for years, as you say. I think this organization that you've built is wonderful and so much needed. Would you say that, like, how your faith continues to guide your leadership? Like, how is Angels in Helping in Earth going to get the word out and take care of people the way it's meant to?
Well, for me, you mentioned something that is the anchor of everything, that is the faith. The faith is the beginning of everything. The faith is who makes you move. I'm here because I had a strong faith. When I was in my captivity, and when I discovered that God was really there with us, and we embraced Him, so I never had no doubt that we were going to come back, because my faith every day came stronger. I remember, I'm going to say something here that can sound weird, but 1 year before I was released, I got a visit because there was negotiation to get us released, because at the end we came through a prisoner swap that was orchestrated through the U.S. government. So there was an ambassador of the U.S. government that was taking care of our case. There is a special presidential office called the SPIHA office, a special presidential office for hostage affairs, that is in Washington. So he was taking care of our negotiation, and he visited us 1 year before we were released. And when that guy, his name is Roger Carston, Ambassador Roger Carston, he left the meeting there. He had with us, he announced that he was negotiating our release. I remember that I told him, Ambassador, I don't know when, but we're gone. So the day after, they gave me a phone call. I could talk with my wife, and I talked my wife to bring me to tell that somebody was taking care of my logistics, because my wife was here in Houston, I was in Venezuela. So I had somebody was taking care of all my logistics in Venezuela, and I told her to tell that guy to bring me a small suitcase, a carry-on luggage. And she told me why. I said, because I'm going to be gone in any moment, and I want to be ready and put some clothes there. It took me 1 year to come back, but every morning I talked to that carry-on, be ready, that we're gone. So that's what faith is. I'm wavering faith that I was going to come back. And today, everything that I'm doing is because I have the faith, and I'm walking in a purpose, and this foundation, Angels Working in Earth, is not only a vision, it's a mission. And it's something that, for me, is my lifelong lasting legacy. I had told my grandson, he's going to be working with this foundation in the next 40 years. I believe it. I truly believe it.
Hope, faith, and vision and mission. You brought so much together, and it is the true meaning of resilience, and that you've come back wanting to help others to go through what you did, and to find the same strength that you found to get through your ordeal. When we come back, we're going to talk about more about your message for today's leaders and business owners. And I also want to make sure that people know how to find out more. We'll talk about how to find out more about your nonprofit, especially with Giving Tuesday coming up. Stay with us. We'll be right back to talk more with Jose. Welcome back to Balancing Acts. I'm here with Jose Pereira, founder of Angels Helping in Earth, an organization that's transforming lives through compassion, faith, and resilience, particularly for victims of trauma and their families. Jose, you've shared how this dream was born during your years in captivities, and how that's blossomed into a movement of healing and empowerment for yourself and for the people that you serve. So, as you look to the future, what's your greatest hope for the people and communities Angels Helping on Earth are serving?
Well, this is a great question because God has making connection the dots to making how this is going to be helping. Because one of the things that for me was a blessing, because as I said, when I came back, I got connected to my local church. It's a Hispanic church here in Houston called Intimidad con Dios. Intimidad con Dios attends a lot of massive thousands of immigrants here in the Houston area. And when I begin to get connected more and more and more, I discovered that there are a lot of needs of in that community, because as I mentioned in the other segment, many of the people that immigrate here, I'm not saying illegal immigrant, I'm saying people that come here legally, they come because they want a better life, and they have had trauma in their countries. Trauma because they have suffered abuse by a family member or even the government. So they come with trauma, and they come here and they continue their life in a rush. Nobody never take care of them, and this is something that it becomes serious because it becomes to be a generational trauma. So connecting all those dots with my church, and connecting with the foundations that work with the hosted community, and having all this connection through my speaking and my networking that I've been creating, is that I decided to put everything together. And I connected with this pastor, as I said, that I got connected with him as a blessing too, that he does this type of launching of organization, and he has months helping me organizing everything. Because everybody knows that launching a nonprofit, if you want to do it seriously, you have to do the things right. So we created all the structure, everything, and now we're ready to launch it for the Giving Tuesday. It's going to be in less than 1 month. So we're ready to launch it, and we already had created the web page and all everything ready to the startup of our launching through the Giving Tuesday. We're beginning to contact all the organizations that I've been knowing and meeting, and they know me because, as I said, I wanted first to tell the people, I'm here. I went through this situation, but I decided to convert that ordeal in this purpose, in helping people that went through trauma like I did. I suffered. Now I'm here to serve. So that's how I decided to do this. This has been a step-by-step that I've been doing, and now I'm coming to the end with the launching during this next Giving Tuesday.
So that's wonderful. So I know that Angels Helping on Earth is a 501c3 organization, which in the U.S. means that it is eligible to receive charitable donations, and it also does charitable work. The website, angelsin.earth, not .co for those of you who are looking for it. It's angelsin.earth. Jose, you talk about Giving Tuesday. So tell us a little bit about what you have planned for your launch and how people can maybe get involved, and how people who are looking for help can learn more.
Yeah, we are preparing everything for this Giving Tuesday. I have been creating all the platform to receive the donation for the Giving Tuesday. Our goal for this Giving Tuesday is having the platform ready to the startup, the people that believe in this dream, they want to come to support this dream. We're going to be contacting all the people that we have been meeting during these years. That have been meeting a lot of people that know me, know what I come from and why I'm doing this. And once we have this ready for the Giving Tuesday, that will give us all the structure to because this is going to be like a pre-launching. The relaunching party we're planning to do between January, February next year here in Houston. We're going to do a big launching party here in Houston, and we're going to invite all the organizations that have been helping us during these years, and the people that want to come, very glad to be, because this for me wants to be a movement. I'm looking this like a long-lasting legacy. I had a vision and the ambition that this is something that is going to last for the years to come. The pastor that I'm working today, the pastor Willie Peterson, he has more than 30 years working with foundations and nonprofit. And he told me, Jose, believe me, I have years trying to find somebody doing something like you're doing, and he's excited working with me because he can feel my passion in what I'm doing, and he truly believed that this is going to be something successful because I believe I have that vision, I have that dream, and this is going to be my long-lasting legacy.
I am so excited to see it actually come to be, and it is so needed. And you mentioned that, people often come here, they've escaped trauma, but it's pretty traumatizing to start life over in a new place too, with language, with culture, with rules that just, and in the United States, we have 50 states. It's like 50 different little countries. So, that too is to help people find their own faith and hope. So kudos to you for doing this. I think it's wonderful. For our audience, let's say have business owners and community leaders who want to give back. What's one small action they can take to help make a meaningful difference?
We have that webpage right now. If you go there, you will see all what the nonprofit is going to do. We're going to have like 4 pillars. One is the trauma recovery. As I said, my therapist, Daisy Rosenblum, she's an expert in trauma recovery. She's going to join the movement as the leader of the Trauma Recovery Center. She's creating a coaching to support from the trauma recovery. We're going to have the Hispanic Immigrant Support Services. That means legal services, professional financial literacy services, things like beginning a small business, guiding them how to begin to start up. There's going to be the part that's strategic partnership and fundraising. The people that believe in our mission, they can partner with us because we're going to have part of that. Our church has a big food pantry driving. We're going to try to help them support their visions through us and the food supply. And there's going to be also the collaborations. People that want to collaborate. How can they do it? They can go to the webpage. They can DM me to my email, Jose at joseconnect.com, or my webpage. My personal webpage is joseconnect.com. So in my personal webpage, joseconnect.com, where I have my speaking and my coaching, there is a page also for the nonprofit. So there are several ways they can connect me, or in the webpage of the nonprofit, or in my personal webpage, Jose Connect, or directly DM me. And in my platforms, you can find me all over the place. I have all the platforms. You can DM me and contact me, and I will reach out to you.
I think that's wonderful, and I hope we can find some ideas. I also would like to see ways I can help with some of your work. I love the 4 pillars. I'm looking at your website now: trauma recovery, immigrant support, partnerships, and vision advocacy. And advocacy is very important. So if you hope that, when people feel they're trapped, right, by their circumstances, by fear, by loss, and of course there's always, there's so much noise around us, with, whether people are worried about, is it a red state, is it a blue state, is it a purple state, when right now we're just talking about human lives and those who live here and those who do need the help, and they can reach out to you or through your website as well to get the help they need to start, building a a life and for themselves and their families. How do you leave a message for anyone watching today, or something for them to carry after this interview? Someone who needs help, what would that message be to them?
I'm using this platform as a way to give back what God has returned to me. Because I'm here because I through a miracle. I'm here against all the odds. Every morning when I wake up, I'm grateful that I'm here, and I believe this is a way I can help others. Anybody is hearing this, no matter if you're going to that circumstance or you believe that you can have ways to help others. I'm a miracle that means that things are possible. Even if you're going to anything in life, everything is possible because God is make possible the impossible. But you have to be intentional. And one of the things that I try to do with this foundation is help others and help that Hispanic community that is in so much need. And by the way, when I started this was 3 years ago. It was not during this government. It was an idea that came 3 years ago that starting, but it was a vision I had like 7 years ago. So this is a vision coming from long term. So in the situation that's happening today in this country, this is a way I can really amplify this.
And I think, your story reminds us that even from, such deep pain, purpose can rise. And when it does, that has the power to lift others up. Thank you so much for sharing your faith and your heart with us and your mission, and to our audience to remember that you should reach out for help. There's help there. You just have to put your hand out and find it. And angelsin.earth is the place to go for help. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk more with Jose about the things he's doing with business owners, leaders, and his nonprofit. Stay with us. We'll be right back. If you love what you're watching, don't miss the future episodes of Balancing Acts and all our Now Media TV shows. You can watch them 24/7 on nowmedia.tv. You can stream anytime on Roku or Apple on the free Now Media TV app. You get business, news, lifestyle, and culture all in English and in Spanish, available 24/7. So search Now Media TV and start watching today. Jose, I think, as I talk to you, I realize your story is about more than survival. It's also transformation. You've not only rebuilt your own life, but now you help others rebuild theirs, whether it's through your nonprofit or through your coaching work with leaders. Many of our viewers lead teams, companies, or causes, other nonprofits themselves. From your experience, what are the most important lessons about leadership that this past hardship has taught you? Because you were the CEO, you were in the top leadership position, at the time of your captivity. So you know so much about leadership.
Yeah, for me it's important. I always mention that that true leadership is tested in the hard times, because when everything is going okay, everybody can be a leader. But when you go into a hard time, when you're pushed from your comfort zone, when your floor is moving, is where you're going to be tested if you're a good leader or not. And there are several things that a leader has to do. But one of the most important, besides being resilient, is being adaptive to the situation. Because today, in this changing world, this crazy changing world, the only way you can survive is being adapting to the changes. One of the big mistakes a leader do is that when the things are going bad, try to maintain doing the same thing. I'm not saying that you're going to be changing every day, but you have to adapt to what the situation is changing. Those leaders that can have that ability to be adaptive and to be resilient are going to be the leaders that are going to be successful. And one of the things that is important to the leader also is be human. Be human. Be a human leader, because sometimes, and believe me, I was there. I was a CEO. Sometimes when you're in, climbing the corporate ladder, it begins to pop up the ego. You feel that you're invincible. You are the super guy. But the truth is that if you're a good leader, you have to be connected with the people as a human being. This is the way you can connect. And adversity always will be there. There will always be adversity. But the truth of the matter is that if you fall down, it's up to you if you decided to stand up and continue or you stay there. Because it's not only be resilient to falling and bouncing back, it's bouncing back stronger, learning from the failures, that the failures are not failures, are lessons to learn and to become better. That's what the real leaders do. So these are my recommendations to anybody that is in a leadership position.
And it doesn't matter, what size. That applies to small businesses and big businesses. I know that you also coach leaders and business owners. They often face burnout, fears, doubt. Business is not a straight line. It's up and down. It's up and down. You're doing great, and suddenly you lose a tremendous client, or and as you just said, people are so important, and it's so easy to forget that, the people on our teams. But when you have fear and doubt, that's kind of a different kind of captivity. You can get stuck in that. What do you tell them about breaking free from like that own, kind of prison we create in our own heads when we can't move forward because we're so stuck?
It's funny that you're saying that, because exactly, I have a speech called From Captivity to Freedom that I do keynote with it, and I have done some variation of it, but the basic of my Captivity to Freedom speech is exactly that you don't have to be a physical hostage, but you can be a mental hostage. That sometimes it can be even worse being a mental hostage than being a physical hostage. I talk about 5 principles when you're going to any situation in your life. And believe me, this is something that is a standard all over to any situation in life. The first thing that you have to do is, when anything that's going to you, is be calm and focused. Calm and focused. Why? Because when you're calm, you can see more clear, with more clarity, the situations. And when you're focused, you can look for the solution. And sometimes the solution you have in front, or maybe you have the path how to get to it. The second thing, it will allow you to see the things that you have to take care because you can control, and the things that you don't have to take care because you cannot control. Because one of the biggest mistakes that the people do is trying to control things that are not under their control. It's crazy. It's crazy. You will never find a solution on that. You can monitor it, but you take care of the thing that you really can control. The second thing for me important is the mindset. The positive mindset. I went to a dark moment during my years of captivity, but I never lose my positive mindset. The positive mindset is what is going to let you navigate anything in your life. The positive mindset. So even in the dark moment, keep your positive mindset. The third thing is taking care of yourself, your mental, physical, and spiritual health. The connection with the people that love you. That's something that people do when they're having a business, whatever. They abandon their life, their family, everything. You have to have a balance between your life. And the fifth thing is the connection with your spirituality. Going back to God. because there is where the faith comes. And any businessman that wants to be successful has to walk in faith and has to walk in God, because that's what's going to guide you to find your purpose and carry your dream and find what you really have to do in this life. That's what's going to make you really be successful.
That is beautiful advice. I want to talk a little bit more about resilience before we end this segment, because I often talk about it. A lot of the workshops I teach are for women business owners who are, and which have very high failure rates. So they do need to be resilient. And as you said, they need to adapt because the economy's constantly changing, the government's constantly changing, their customers are constantly changing. There is nothing but change in business. And, resilience is built over time. What are some daily practices or mindsets, as you just mentioned, that can keep you strong and centered when you're going through so many changes surrounding you?
The first thing in the morning is express gratitude. Though never challenge yourself, express gratitude even if you're going in a hardship. Look for those small wins. Walking with your dog, taking a fresh air, breathing. You're alive. You could be dead. You're alive. So those morning gratitude is the neuroscience or the quantum physics, like they are called today, had confirmed that when you express gratitude, there is something in the chemical of your brain that goes all over the dopamine in your body. So that makes a change. So expressing gratitude, it will make you become more, not only more grateful, more resilient, because now you're more ready to go to any situation, expressing gratitude.
That's great. I love that. And you can forget to do that when the chips are down. So let's close this out with your organization. You do all this coaching for leaders, but it's really also very tied to your work with Angels, your Angels nonprofit. So let's close this out with, I think many of our audience might also have nonprofits. How will you lead that organization differently than maybe your leadership in a corporate role?
Well, one of the pillars of my organization is the partnership. If anybody that's hearing this resonate my mission, they can contact me, because there can be physical donation, but there can be partnership. Because, for example, I have a friend here that he has a nonprofit. He's very heavy doing a food drive. I'm going to partner with him, the food drive. So I don't want to reinvent the wheel. If somebody has a strength in something, we can partner. Because I believe that this is something, the biggest growing sector in the U.S. is the Hispanic community. $3.2 billion, $3 trillion of the economy comes from the Hispanic community. It's big. It's big. But sometimes they're going through situations in their life they don't know how to carry it. And things as simple like having English as a second language, or lessons of citizenship, so they can know about the culture of the country and the things that to embrace this country as an immigrant. These are things that we want to take care. But we want to take care also for the trauma that they're going through. We want to take care if we can give them some lessons how they can have financial freedom, starting their business, some legal advice. Anybody that's hearing this, they can partner with us.
That's wonderful, and it's a great note to end on. Your nonprofit, I'm so glad that our audience knows you're launching in time for Giving Tuesday, angelsin.earth, which is an unusual, so don't forget that. It's not .com, angelsin.earth. This has been just an amazing talk with you over the last few segments. I hope everybody will go back. This Balancing Acts, thank you for being with us today. We air every Tuesday at 7 Central Time, where we explore strategies and stories that help business owners, leaders, and change makers build not just success, but significance. Thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you again next week. Thank you so much for Jose for sharing your story with us, and I can't wait to follow your success with Angels Helping in Earth.